Jonathan here, and welcome to Learn to Playthrough. Today we got a playthrough of Mansions of Madness, First Edition, Story 1, The Fall of House Lynch. Just a reminder that this is the first playthrough of Mansions of Madness First Edition, so it's going to be the learn phase of Learn to Playthrough. So we're going to take it nice and easy, so just sit back and relax. So let's go ahead and get this game going to see who wins, whether it's the investigators or the keeper. And that is a good question. How do they win? Now, I did briefly state how to win during the setup video by looking at the objective card. So up here is the objective card, and in the middle it tells how the keeper wins, and down below it'll tell how the investigators win. In the rules of play part of the rule book on page 6 in the section Winning the Game, the investigators and the keeper both have information on the objective card on how they're going to go ahead and win the game. Now, you got to remember as an investigator that you do not know exactly what you need to do or get in order to win the game until the final clue is revealed. And then at that point up here on the top, it'll tell you to go ahead and reveal the objective card once the final clue is revealed. Then the keeper, they're going to know exactly what to do, how to win the game for themselves, plus they're going to also know what the investigators need to do to win the game for them. So the keeper is basically going to be a big monkey wrench and trying to stop and hinder and even kill the investigators so they do not complete their objectives. Now, another way that the keeper can win is by eliminating all of the investigators. And what I mean by all of the investigators is not just the 2 investigators that are on the board right now, but all 8 investigators that come with the game. So remember, during setup we had a choice of choosing 2 investigators from the 8 investigators that came with the game. So we chose Harvey Walters and Jenny Barnes, and then the other 6 investigators are sitting off to the side. So if Harvey happens to die, then we'll go ahead and drop the items onto the floor, and then we'll take his character card and his trait cards and any other kind of cards that he has, and we'll remove those back into the box. And then we'll also take any kind of tokens, whether it be the damage tokens or the sanity tokens or the skill point tokens. So we'll remove those and put those back in the box. And then we'll go ahead and get a new investigator, and we'll go ahead and make them up, and then we'll take their figure and put them in the start space, and then we'll continue on next turn with that investigator. So in the rules of play part of the rule book on page 24 are the sections Killed Investigators, Choosing a New Investigator, and Elimination. And that can tell you more information about what you have to do to bring a new investigator in. So there you have it. That's how you win or lose the game. So now let's go ahead and start and learn to play through Mansions of Madness, First Edition, Story 1, The Fall of House Lynch. In the rules of play part of the rule book on page 6 in the section Playing the Game, Mansions of Madness First Edition is played over a number of rounds. During each of these rounds, the players resolve their turn before the next player can go, with the investigators starting first. With the investigators going first, in the rules of play part of the rule book on page 6 is the section Investigator Turn Summary. Here is a list of what the investigators can do. Now, for a more detailed information about this, you can go over to pages 8 and 9 in the rules of play part of the rule book, and there it's going to tell you a little bit more in depth what they can do. So then let's go ahead and begin with round 1. So with the investigators up first, our first one is going to be Harvey Walters. So we got Harvey Walters here. He's got a health of 6, sanity of 14, and skill points of 4. Now on the back of the character cards is a little blurb about the character. And this is Harvey Walters. Knowledge is power. Professor Walters began as a devotee of the archaic and obscure, but over the years he has discovered that his knowledge of ancient languages, profane relics, and strange rituals is vital to addressing dangers in the modern day. He is both an avid collector of prehistoric ephemera and a font of knowledge regarding bizarre primordial religions that worshipped nightmarish gods eons ago. When a supernatural event occurs, Professor Walters is often asked to bring his considerable resources and experience to bear on the problem. Excellent. So that's Harvey Walters. Let's go and see what he's going to do. So we go ahead and check out the investigator turn summary there on page 6 in the rules of play part of the rule book. And there are 2 sections that he gets to do. The first one is movement step. For the movement step, the investigator gets to move to an adjacent space. So an adjacent space is any other space that they can move freely to. Now whether that's actually going through a door, so with Harvey, if he moves from here to this space, that's moving to one adjacent space. If he moves from here to here, he's moving to one adjacent space through this door, but if that door was locked, then this space is not considered adjacent. So for the movement step, Harvey gets to move to 2 adjacent spaces. So Harvey tells Jenny that, well, we seem to be in a very unusual area here, so we need to stay close together. Now, seem to have smelled some burning food, and from the map that was provided with us, I think off to the left is where the kitchen is at. So let's go check it out. So Harvey's going to use his 2 movement space turns, and he's going to go 1, and then he's going to go into this next area, which is the kitchen. But before he goes into there, let's go ahead and check out the anatomy of the tiles. So in the rules of play part of the rule book on page 8 is the section map tile breakdown, and that will give you a breakdown of what the tiles are. So we're going to go ahead and look at the kitchen tile here, and I'm going to go ahead and explain what to look for. So we'll take our cards off here that we seeded the kitchen tile with. We'll take a look at the tile. So here's the kitchen tile, and the terminology is that this is a tile in general. So when you read the information on cards or anything, you need to listen to what they have to say, because if it says you can go into the tile, or you can go into the room, or you can go into the space, there are different areas that are located on here. So once again, this is a tile, and from the tile it breaks down into the rooms. So the rooms are basically separated by these thick brown areas, which are the walls. So you can see in this kitchen area here, we have the dining room, so that's this section here. We have the kitchen here, and then we have a kitchen storage. So that's this area right here. Now broken down from the rooms are spaces. So a space is either one full area, or it's broken down into this white line. So this room here, the dining room, is broken down into 2 spaces. The kitchen has 1 space, and then the kitchen storage has 1 space. So once again, we have our tile, we have 1, 2, 3 rooms, and then we have 1, 2 spaces, 1 space, and 1 space. Now, we're talking about the adjoining spaces, where if you go from one room to another through a door, this is considered an adjacent space. But if this door was locked for some reason, then this would not be an adjacent space. So you just have to watch out for those wording on the tiles and on the cards and such, that it will tell you exactly what to do. Okay, so Harvey's going to go ahead and continue his movement, doing his second step. He's going to go through this door into the dining room. So that is his second step. Now he goes on to his next part of his turn, which is the action step. Now for the action step, there are 5 different actions that you can do, but you only can perform one action. You can do a run, which lets you move to another adjacent space. You can use a card ability. So on the card, you'll see a bold word that says action. So you can go ahead and do that. Then you can go ahead and drop items, so you can leave exploration and or starting item cards. You can attack a monster. So if there is a monster in your space, if you're using a melee weapon, or if there's a monster within range that you can actually see them because you're going to need line of sight, then you can go ahead and attack a monster. Or you can explore. So you can reveal obstacle and exploration cards in the room. So with that, Harvey's action, he's going to go ahead and explore. So as you can see here, the exploration cards are over here, what looks like in this space on the left-hand side, and Harvey's over here on the space on the right-hand side. But when you explore a room, then you can go ahead and explore everything that's in the room. So Harvey's going to go ahead and explore, and he's going to explore this exploration card here. So we go ahead and flip it over, and you find nothing of interest. Sorry, Harvey, nothing. So Harvey thought he saw something over here on this table that was nice and shiny, but when he walked over there a little bit closer, it was nothing of interest. So we go ahead and just discard this card, and with that, that ends Harvey's turn. So next up for the investigators is Jenny Barnes. So we have Jenny Barnes's character card here, and she has a health of 10, a little bit better than Harvey there. She's got a sanity of 10, so a little less than Harvey, and she's got skill points of 2. Okay, so on the back, we got the blurb for Jenny Barnes. The perfect shoes for saving the world. Jenny Barnes has spent the majority of her young life in pursuit of creature, comforts, fine dining, and the latest fashions. But during her most recent summer in Paris, she received a letter from her sister, Isabel. In this letter, Isabel confessed that mysterious forces were aligning against her and that she feared that she may fall victim to some paranormal threat. It was the last letter Jenny received from her beloved sister. Jenny has since returned to the States to track down and investigate all occult occurrences she can find. Hardly a wilting flower, she has proved herself a crack shot as well as a fearless and clever investigator of the unknown. Until Isabella's disappearance is explained, Jenny will never relent in her search, and she will do so impeccably dressed. Alright, well that is Jenny Barnes. As the picture shows, she is double wielding her .45 automatics. Okay? So with Jenny, she's got her movement step and then her action step to do. With her movement step, she can take up to 2 movements, and then she can perform an action step. But basically, during this turn, she can do any choice of those 3 in any order. So basically, she has a movement, and an action. Or she can do an action, movement, or she can do a movement, action, movement. So however she wants to break it up, she can do. Now Harvey told her that we need to stay together, and she agreed with him. But as soon as Harvey turned left and walked out the door towards the kitchen, something caught Jenny's eye off to the right underneath that lamp. So Jenny is going to go ahead and use her action first to explore. Now remember, you can be all the way over here, and this card is way over here, and she can still explore and pick up that card. So she's at the start space, Here's the exploration card. She's going to go ahead and use her action to explore. And we'll see what Jenny finds. She finds a bottle of whiskey. And it's an equipment. Gain +1 willpower. And as an action, discard this card to heal up to 2 horror. Excellent, okay? Well, now that she has a bottle of whiskey, she's also going to gain +1 on her willpower. So as we look over here on her trait card, her willpower is a 6. So we're going to go ahead and get a piece of paper and mark it as a 7. So now the gaining of the +1 willpower isn't something that just happens like once, because it doesn't say that you drink the whiskey and you gain +1 willpower for your turn or anything like that. So Jenny, straight off the bat, gets +1 willpower. Now, if she was by chance to give that bottle away, then that +1 willpower will go away. So maybe there was something in her past that by Jenny holding on to the bottle of whiskey, it makes her feel more empowered with her will, so that's why she gets a +1 willpower. So right now her willpower is going to go from 6 up to 7. So to make this a little bit easier to remember, we're going to go ahead and just take a little sticky and we're going to put that over the 6. So now we're going to remember that Jenny's willpower is now a 7. So Jenny hurries up and grabs the whiskey bottle and stuffs it into her purse, and then she finishes up her action step. So now she has her 2 movement steps to do. And so now she doesn't want Harvey to get all worried and wondering what she's doing, so she'll go ahead and do her 2 movement steps, going 1 and 2 into the kitchen area, the dining room, with Harvey, and then that's going to end Jenny's turn. So now we move on to keeper turn. For the keeper turn, there are 5 steps involved. Now for a more detailed information about these steps, you can go over to pages 10 and 11 in the rules of play part of the rulebook, and there it's going to tell you a little bit more in depth about what they can do. Step 1, investigator trading step. Now during this step, investigators who are in the same space, now remember the 2 investigators are in the same space because there are 2 spaces here in the dining room, they may trade exploration and or starting item cards. And also during this step, if any investigators are stunned, and if an investigator or monster is stunned, then they're going to have this token which shows the picture of a skull, and at that point for the investigators, they can go ahead and remove 1 stun token off of their character card. Step 2, gain threat step. During this step, the keeper is going to start gaining these threat tokens. So remember at the beginning, they got 1 threat token, and this is like the money for the keeper to start spending it on the cards so that he can go ahead and do his power. Now the keeper is going to obtain 1 threat token for each number of investigators that are playing. So since we have 2 investigators, the keeper is going to get 2 threat tokens. So we'll go ahead and just put 1, 2. So now the keeper has a total of 3 threat tokens. Step 3, keeper action step. In this step, the keeper can go ahead and spend his threat tokens to go ahead and use his keeper action cards to go ahead and perform the actions that are on them. So as we look at the keeper action cards, the first one, command minion, says to move a monster up to 2 spaces. Well, there are no monsters on the board, so we can't really do anything with that card. The next one is Evil Presence. Draw one Mythos card and one Trauma card. Okay, we can do that. Third one, take sample. Once per turn, choose a monster in an investigator space. Well, there's no monsters on the board, so we can't do that. Third one, uncontrollable urges. Choose an investigator. You may move them to an adjacent space or force him to resolve an action from one of his spell, equipment, artifact, or tome cards. Well, the keeper really doesn't want to move the investigators around yet and doesn't really want to waste the threat token, so we're not going to do anything with that. And the last one is Maniac Attack. If no maniacs are in play, choose a lone investigator and place one maniac in this space. Alright, well first of all, it costs 4 threat tokens to bring a maniac in, and we only have 3, so we can't even do that card. Plus, the investigators are together, so they need to be separated before we could bring a maniac in. So I think that what the keeper is going to do is, we're going to do this card here called Evil Presence. And what we're going to do for an action, we're going to draw one Mythos card and one Drama card by paying the 1 threat token cost. Okay, so here's our Mythos cards, and then here is the stack of what are known as the Trauma cards. Now the Trauma cards come in blue and red. You see a brain up here for blue, and this is the one for the sanity. And then we got one here that's red, shows a picture of a heart, and this one is for damage. So we'll go ahead and just place those down right here next to the Mythos cards, and then we're going to go ahead and spend one of the threat tokens to go and draw one Mythos card and one Trauma card. So we got a Mythos card. What is inside? And it costs 0 to play, and its a requirement is laboratory, freezer, operating room, or kitchen. And it says, you open the closet doors looking for clues. Instead, you find that the cabinets are filled with bloody body parts. Test willpower +1. As a fail, you take 2 horror. Okay, for the Trauma card, forbidden knowledge. If what it says is true, then no. Shakes head, pauses, and clenches teeth. It is not true. Each time you use a tome card and gain skill points, take 1 horror, limit once per turn. Alright, so again, just put them right here. So we're still on the keeper action step. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and spend another one of the threat tokens. And we're going to go ahead and play the Evil Presence card again. And we're going to go ahead and draw another Mythos card and another Trauma card. So the Mythos card takes 2 threat tokens, Baffling Voices. Whispered voices drift down the halls. Their chanting becomes louder and louder. You cover your ears and start banging your head against the wall to get the voices out. Take 1 horror and 1 damage. If affected by a darkness token, take 1 additional horror. Nice. Then the Trauma card is Friend. I knew it. I've been betrayed. I see what you really are. Chuckles. I see your slimy tail. The keeper may move you up to 1 space and then choose an investigator for you to attack as if you were a humanoid monster. The keeper chooses which of the weapons to use, then discard this card. Now you see this big 0 right here? What that means is that your sanity level on your character card here has got to be a 0 in order to use that card. Step 4, monster attack step. So if there was a monster in the space of the investigators, then the keeper can go ahead and have that monster attack them. Now, if for some reason on the information of the monster it says that they can attack from a range, then the keeper can have that monster attack if the investigators are within range. And also during this step, if any monsters are stunned, they don't get to attack, but instead the keeper can go ahead and remove one stun token from the monster. But since there are no monsters on the board at the moment, we'll go ahead and go to the next step. Step 5, event step. So during this step, the keeper is going to take a time token and put it on the event deck. Now during setup, we talked about building the event deck. And here's the event deck. As you can see, here's the Roman numeral 1, and down here is a 3. So the timing counter that you put onto this event deck, once you get to 3 of the timing counters, then you'll go ahead and you'll flip this card and then you'll read it. Now this game is not just set up that all the investigators run around and kill monsters and then the keeper's trying to kill the investigators and stuff like that, because in the objective card here for the keeper, it says that the keeper wins if the final event card is resolved. So, if we go ahead and just add up the numbers down here, we have a 3, 4 is 7, 3 is 10, 3 is 13, and 3 is 16. So that means that this game is going to run for up to 16 rounds. And then the game will be over. So we're going to go ahead and just put the event cards right there. And we'll go ahead and take one of the time tokens, put it right on the event deck. So then with that, once the event deck reaches 3 time tokens, then we'll go ahead and flip that card and read it, and we'll go from there. But till then, this is going to end the keeper's turn. So we finish round 1. So now we begin round 2. The investigators are up first, and there is no rhyme and reason of which investigator goes first. The investigators don't have any kind of initiative numbers, or they don't roll for initiative or anything like that. So whoever wants to go first can go first. So Jenny Barnes decides that she's going to go ahead and go first. So she's got 2 movement steps and 1 action step to perform. She still smells that burning food, so she knows that the kitchen is on the other side of that door. So she's going to go ahead and do 1 movement to there. And then her next movement, she's going to go through here. She's able to go through the door because it's not locked. And then when she gets in there, she's going to go ahead and do her action step to explore. So we go ahead and draw these cards. And our first card we get is a clue. 3A. The Fall of House Lynch. The room is empty except for the burnt outline of a human on the kitchen table. Upon closer examination, you find a simple silver key hidden in the soot. A trail of blackened footprints leads up the foyer stairs and right down the hall. Okay. So I guess this whole time she was so concentrating on going to the kitchen that she did not notice the black footprints on the ground leading across the foyer, up the stairs, and into the hallway over there. And then in the soot, she also found the silver key, and it says, "Key. Discard this card when you attempt to move through a locked door to discard the lock card." Okay? So, one of these locked cards up here is the locked door lock card. So if you by chance happen to come to that locked door lock card, it'll probably say on it something like, if you have a silver key, you can open the door. So Jenny has got to be the one that's trying to get through that door at the time to use that key. So we'll go ahead and go over here to Jenny's area. She found the clue. She's got the silver key. And that will end Jenny's turn. So now it's Harvey's turn. He's got 2 movement steps and an action step to perform. So he kind of muddles to himself and says, "Oh, that Jenny, she's just running off so quick. I can catch up to her." So Harvey's moving with his cane as he clatters on the floor. Clatter, 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 clatter. Takes 1 movement step there. The second movement step is to there. And he looks around and he even identifies the burnt outline on the table there of some person and notices now that, oh yes, there are some footprints going out up to the hallway. Very interesting, very interesting. So Harvey still has an action step to use. Now he's not going to do the run action because he doesn't want to split up from Jenny, because he said that since we're in this area that we don't know what's going on, we need to stay close to each other. So he's not going to do the run. Card ability. So we come over here to Harvey's cards, and the spell card is the only one that has an action on it, and it says to choose a monster. And there's no monsters on the board, so Harvey can't really do anything with that card. Drop items. So he's not really going to leave any exploration and or starting item cards in this room, since he really doesn't have anything. Now he does have spells, the shriveling spell, but that is something more or less that's inside him that he's able to cast. It's not like he's got a big book or anything like that that he's using to cast the shriveling spells. It's just that the power of the spell is inside him, so he doesn't really have any kind of items to drop. Attack a monster? Well, there are no monsters in this room to attack, so can't do that. And explore. Well, Jenny Barnes went ahead and explored this room already, and she got those cards with the silver key and the first clue. So there are no cards really to explore here. So when Harvey gets into the room with Jenny, Jenny informs him that she found this silver key amongst the soot. So just to let Harvey know that if there is a locked door somewhere, that she could possibly use this key to open it. So with that ends the investigator's turns. So let's move on to keeper turn. So with the keeper turn, we got the 5 steps. Step 1, investigator trading step. So Jenny informed Harvey about the silver key, and she's going to go ahead and say that, well, I'm just going to go ahead and just keep the key, so if by chance we come up against a locked door, just call me over and I'll go ahead and open the door for you. She's not going to tell Harvey about the whiskey, and then she's definitely going to keep her automatics. So there's no trading going to be involved. Step 2, gain threat step. So remember, depending on how many investigators there are, the keeper is going to go ahead and get a threat token. Now since we have 2 investigators, the keeper is going to get 2 threat tokens. So we'll go ahead and put this over here with the other threat tokens. Now the keeper has a total of 3 threat tokens. And now we move on to step 3, keeper action step. So this is where the keeper is going to go ahead and spend his threat tokens so he can go ahead and do some nasty stuff. Now remember, he cannot spend his threat tokens on the mythos or the trauma cards until it is actually the investigator's turns. Now depending on certain things, that he could play the mythos cards when he wanted to, anytime during their turn, or he has to play it in a certain area, like a laboratory, or the freezer, operating room, or kitchen. Now it did say that the mythos cards could be played anytime during the investigator's turns, but what I mean by anytime is that you can play a Mythos card before the investigator's turn, then after any one of the movement steps, or after the action step. So if they're doing an action step and they're in the process of doing the action step, you cannot perform a Mythos card to interrupt them. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and spend the threat tokens to activate the keeper action cards. So as we look at them again, command minion, there's no monsters out there, we can't do anything. Evil presence, we can draw one Mythos and one trauma card, sounds good. Take sample, well, there's no monsters out there to take a sample, so we can't do anything. Uncontrollable urges, we could do that one, but there is really no reason to split up the party at the moment. And then the fourth one, maniac attack, there is no maniac out there, so we can't really do anything yet. So we're going to go ahead and do evil presence. So we'll go ahead and spend the one threat token, and as an action, draw one Mythos card and one trauma card. Let's go and draw our Mythos card, draw the trauma card, and the Mythos card is 0 threat, and it's a loose floorboard. The requirement, so the investigator has to be in the bedroom, hallway, foyer, or the attic. You run frantically down the hall away from some unseen evil, only to lose your footing, so then test dexterity, fail, you are stunned. Alright, that's the Mythos card. And then Nyctophobia. Did you hear something? Where's the light switch? Whispers come from the darkness. Oh God, where's the light? Each time you enter a basement, attic, cave, or room in darkness, test your willpower. If you fail, take one horror. Okay. So that is our trauma card. Here's our Mythos card. So you can see that we got 4 Mythos, and we got 3 trauma cards that are all blue. Now in the information regarding the Mythos cards and the trauma cards, it says that you are only allowed to have a maximum of 4 Mythos and 4 trauma cards. Now as you remember, the trauma cards here, we got the blue brains up top, there's also the red hearts. Now it does not mean that you can have 4 brains and 4 hearts. You can only have a total of 4 trauma cards and a total of 4 of the Mythos cards. So with that, the keeper was going to spend another threat token to get another set of Mythos and trauma cards. And what I could have done was, if I looked at this and said, okay, well, here's this one, Baffling Voices, I don't really like that card. What I can do is, I could have done Evil Presence, spent a threat token, gained 2 more of these cards. When I brought the Mythos card over, I could have gotten rid of that and then put the new one in its place. And then take the other trauma card and fill this one up, so then I'd have 4 and 4. So now we move on to step 4, monster attack step. Well, there's no monsters on the board, so we can go ahead and skip that step. And now we move on to step 5, event step. So with the event step, we go ahead and take one of the time tokens, and we'll go ahead and put it on the event deck. So now we have 2 out of the 3 tokens needed to go ahead and advance the card to see what that card is. So this is going to end our second round and our video. So come on and join us next time as we continue and learn to play through Mansions of Madness, 1st edition, Story 1, The Fall of House Lynch.